Hey everybody, it's me, Stephen Billings, and with me as always is Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good, Steven, doing good. We are here for a special video. Well, not really special because we've both done stuff like this before,
Yeah.
but it is a Blu-ray review, and this is one of the things we're kind of trying out in tandem. And we've done one before, now we're doing another one now. And Steven, what is the item, or in this case, items that we will be reviewing?
Well, this time we have another shipment from Imprint. Imprint has been nice enough to throw some review copies every once in a while, and this was a big one. So this one is this is why this was a really lucky one to get, and that is the second collection of films from their neo noir series, After Dark, Collection 2, neo noir cinema. Very, of course, just aesthetically looking at the set, very beautiful set. I love the color, of course. I love the blue on here, and
Mm,
you got Ray Liotta on the back from the film Narc on there, and of course, this is like the cigarette top, the box that is kind of their signature style of their box, and then they have all the films in here.
I always like that aesthetic. I think it's
Yeah,
rather unique to what they specifically do as opposed to others. Also, I like that they're contrasting kind of with the first box set, what was the color scheme on that? Black and
it was
purple?
it was like a
Black
pinkish,
and pink, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know, I was thinking of two P color words. But I do like that blue because I don't know, the whole idea of neo-noir and
In the
kind of blue. I mean, there's even the movie in there, Blue
I was gonna
Steel.
say, yeah, exactly.
Come on.
It fits
Kinda
Blue
goes
Steel, the first
hand in
movie,
hand.
and of
And
course, also it comes with a booklet. That good stock paper stock. It's nice and solid. Um, you know, decent amount of stuff in there. I think this could be a little bit
mm,
thicker of a book for this many films.
right.
It's pretty
We'll
thin
see.
for 6 films, but
Oh,
you know,
yeah, it's always nice just to get any type of booklet.
but to get anything's great.
Yeah, to get any booklet is always nice. Yeah, and that box set came out it was part of their November lineup. If that
Yes.
November of 2022. If you're watching this sometime in the future, that is when that box set came out. It came out with several months after the first one, and they haven't announced the third one yet as of this review, but I think it was such a big hit. I don't know why they wouldn't unless they don't have the movies for it, but there's plenty of those 1990s gritty neo-noir films
Or
that I
movies
think
that are
have need
borderline neo-noir, yeah.
yeah, they've needed, like, Blu-ray releases for years. I know a lot of the films in this set specifically, and how many films are in that set, Steven? Is it 6?
6. Yeah.
Yes, 6. And the movies are Blue Steel, Internal Affairs, um, The Way of the Gun,
The
Crimson Rivers,
Yards. Yeah.
The Yards, and Narc. I think
Yeah.
are all of them.
Yep.
And they're all individually numbered, and that's the one thing with imprint releases that they're each of their releases are specifically numbered, and though each of those in those box set are numbered as well. So that's kind of cool. A little, if you're a stickler for those things, that's kind of what imprint's deal is. Because I don't think we've done an imprint review on here before. So
No,
if
I
people
I
aren't
I did
aware of imprint,
no,
we get a little
I did an
feedback here.
in-print review. I did
Oh,
a
yes,
little,
you did.
Comeback Little Sheba and, Testament and Way of the Tiger, or Save the Tiger.
Ah, yes, you did. I got my
Yeah.
copy of Comeback Little Sheba right next to me as well.
Yeah, look at that.
Um, yeah, great release. So let's get into, I guess, the special features packages because each movie
What
does
yeah.
come with special features.
Well, we'll start with
Unless
the
you were, yeah,
first
open up the first one and then we'll go over the
yeah,
features.
first film here. We got Blue Steel,
Catherine
starring
Bigelow.
Jamie Lee Curtis. Um, I really like this, but this was the first time when I checked this out. This is the first time I watched the film. And Jamie Lee Curtis plays a cop who, of course, a lot of I think what this movie really is representing a lot is just the female side of being in a position like this, being a cop. Something that's typically a male job. Um, you know, when females are doing it, having to show aggression and having to do things like that, that's typically it's not lady behavior. And that's what this movie is really, I think, delving into is that idea of role, feminism, inside of, kind of a male driven world, and turning it on its head and kind of digging deeper into gender roles and things like that. And there's a couple great features on here that really delve into that. One is called, let's see, you have the profound emotional response, and it's a video essay by Chris O'Neill, which we're actually going to have Chris O'Neill on very soon to we can talk with him about this feature. And then there was another one in here with you have to help me with the what's this word, the
Oh boy.
phallistic woman, the deconstruction of blue steel.
Yeah, I'm reading it now. The Phallic Woman Deconstructing Blue
Yeah.
Steel with film historian and Professor Jennifer Mormon.
It's actually really hard to read the back of this because it's so dark.
Yeah, sometimes the color scheme when it comes to packaging is very important because depending on your vision or the quality of your vision, it blurs.
Well, first of all, this room's a little dim, but it's also it's blue. It's like a dark blue and a black lettering, and I can't. It's like hard to read it.
Yeah, it's a good thing I've got the list up here. And then again, there's Staring Down the Barrel, production designer Tony Corbin on Blue Steel, a profound emotional response, video essay by film historian Chris O'Neill. I think you've talked about already.
There's typically with these releases that there's usually like probably 2 to 3 new features that Imprint makes, and then there's like sometimes archival stuff that's added as well. So, but typically all the Imprint releases are going to all be like studio restorations. They're going to be 1080p. The audio's going to be decent quality. That's the one thing. If there's ever a knock on Imprint, is that they're not going out of their way to like upgrade the audio and video of these. They're getting the prints that are already been done by the studios. And there's not that there's anything wrong with that. There's these all look good. There's nothing wrong with these video wise. Now I will say sometimes I notice audio issues with some of these releases because they're not really mastered or mixed well. Like sometimes there'll be scenes where there'll be an action scene and it'll be really loud. And then next thing you know, they'll be talking and it'll be, the action will be done and it'll be talking and it's like really quiet. And you're like, geez, now I got to turn up the volume. And then next time some action happens, it gets really loud and you're like, fuck, like, why didn't they balance this
that's
shit
happened to
right?
me a lot. I mean, there is the only audio that is on this disc specifically is an LPCM 2.0 stereo audio. So for your home theater setup, that's pretty much meaning you're only using 2 of your speakers. I mean, if you have a big whole 5.1 or whatever, how many speakers, it is a relatively low quality, not low quality, but low sounding frequency when it comes to audio mixes and whatnot. So if you're used to like 5.1, 7.1 DTS masters or anything like that, this is not what that is. And it is preserving the original sound makeup of the film. But I can understand what Steven is saying. And that does matter. That does matter to a lot of people. I mean, we always hop on, sound and video quality. If anything, that's kind of why we buy these, is not only for to have the movies, but to have them in great quality. I did already mention this was directed by Catherine Bigelow, and I think this is the film that she did in between Near Dark and Point Break. So it's always kind of one that's kind of gets sandwiched in between 2 of her more well-known films. I always find that fascinating.
It is. It's. I'd say after watching it, it is a little hidden gem. I think there's definitely it's definitely got a lot of themes that are kind of ahead of their time in the sense of, I mean, like now they play a lot better now than they ever have. And I think
in movies. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis plays a rookie cop who loses her gun during a crime that happens, and her gun gets picked up and starts being used to commit murders. She's trying to hunt down the person that took her weapon, is committing these crimes.
Yeah, she was involved in she was involved in there was a burglary happening while she was on duty, and that's what. Yeah, and then the gun gets away from her, and then that's. she starts a relationship with this kind of yuppie type, and then it kind of gets weird. It's kind of got, there's a lot of things about the film that kind of go into like kind of almost surrealisticness, like with this yuppie character that she starts seeing. He's and this isn't like spoiling the movie, but like at the end of the movie where there's like this big shootout, he's almost becomes like a Terminator. Like it's like he's almost unstoppable. It's kind of weird. I don't know how long it's been since you've seen the movie.
Well, I watched it when we talked about this release
Months
last
ago.
August. I think
Yeah,
is when
yeah.
it was announced.
But
August of
it's got
2022.
there's
So it's
things
been since
about it.
then.
Yeah. There's things about it that's just, and you've watched like 20,000 movies since then.
Yeah, I know,
So,
seriously.
but
I
there's
mean,
things
so
about it
much
that,
for the show.
yeah, there's things about it that go into like kind of like a almost a heightened, way about it, but I think it plays well. And I think it's a gem. I think it's a good first movie in this set to get you going. But yeah, let's move on from Blue Steel
Yeah,
and
to
let's get,
Internal Affairs.
yes, Internal Affairs. You got Andy Garcia, you have Richard Gere starring in
Yes.
this, and this is a Mike Figgis film, if I'm remembering right.
Yes, it is. Also
So-
came out in 1990. And for those of you who don't know, Mike Figgis directed the one and only Nicolas Cage in his only Oscar-starring role in Leaving Las Vegas.
Yes.
So, Steven, there's your big connection there.
Hell yeah.
I tell you, I've read Mike Figgis's book on digital filmmaking, which is now completely outdated because I think he wrote that sometime in the 2000s. And technology, when it comes to digital filmmaking, is light years ahead of where it was 15 years ago or even longer. But yeah, so Mike Figgis, and this film is all about a crooked cop portrayed by Richard Gere in kind of a more darker, seedier role. And then Andy Garcia, I think, is the character in Internal Affairs, who's trying to hunt down, these dirty cops and the, dirty corrupt ways that are going on within this police department. And it's a cat and mouse game between Richard Gere and Andy Garcia the whole time. And I found it to be quite entertaining. I really dig it.
Andy Garcia was like in fucking everything during this time.
Yes, he
period.
was.
He was really in a lot of movies during this time. There's one movie he did that I don't know that it really has a Blu-ray release, and if it does, I need to get it. It's called Desperate Measures, where he plays, I believe he plays a cop, maybe a cop in this movie too, but Michael Keaton plays this kind of like super high IQ like he's a con. He's either some kind of serial killer or something. I don't know, but he has like his Andy Garcia's son needs bone marrow transplant, and and Michael Keaton's the only donor. So he has to get Michael Keaton to do this bone marrow, and while he's at the hospital getting it done, he escapes in the hospital, and it's trying to capture him. Then it becomes Die Hard, Die Hard in a hospital.
Die Hard in a hospital. That's the pitch right there.
Yeah.
So it does have a Blu-ray release from Spain that was put out in February of 2021.
Okay, I need that. I need that closer to America.
Yes, it's put out by a company called Resin. But yeah, that's the only release in the world on Blu-ray.
Yeah,
is that Spanish release of that movie.
Maybe they'll look at it as a neo-noir and put it in one of these sets or something.
That would be nice. But we do have some
Internal Affairs
features we got to get into for Internal Affairs.
Yeah, Internal Affairs. Yeah. How hard is it to not say Infernal Affairs because that's a more popular movie?
I almost said it every single time I've said Internal right now.
Yep.
I've almost said Infernal Affairs. But there are some new special features for this release. Steven, can you read them or do you need me to read them?
Yeah, I got you.
How's the phone looking?
Yeah, so we got a new audio commentary from film critic Alan Silver and James Yerzini. If I'm messing that up, that's from 2022. Then we also have a new interview from director Mike Figgis, 2022. It's called The Clever and the Corrupt. We also have another interview with the screenwriter Henry Bean from 2022. It's called His Most Dangerous Weapon. And then we got One Bad Cop, an interview with co-composer Anthony Marianelli from 2022. And then we got some archival stuff, extended and deleted scenes, alternate ending, and a trailer. I actually, Mike Figgis, his is really good. His interview is a pretty long one. It's like, I think it's like 45 minutes long, and it's like him just talking about the whole process of the movie. You can tell it was during pandemic times. He's kind of on like a webcam kind of deal, but it's just him and then visual elements. And that's it. And it's great. He really goes through the casting of the actors, the storyline, the characters. It's a really good interview. And then the stuff from the composer was really good too. He talks about the score and how, I believe, if I'm remembering this particular interview, that he was like, he worked on a lot of releases in China, I believe. Like, he was like he was working on a lot of Chinese movies, this composer, and then he like got roped into this movie. It's very simple score, but it's very catchy and easy to pick out. And there's some good features on here. This actually has 4 new features on it, so that's mostly what you got here is all new stuff for this film. So they really went above beyond on this particular film. And yeah, Richard Gere, you never see him anything else like in this film. He's never this bad. I don't even think he's ever played a bad guy in any other movie.
I would have to look.
Yeah.
I would have to look. But moving on from internal affairs, we have Crimson Rivers, a film from 2000. So we're jumping from 1990 to 2000. And this is a movie that stars Jean Reno as well as, is it
Vincent Cassel.
Vincent Cassel? And this is kind of like a version of Seven,
kind of,
where it's kind of coming out in that post Seven world where we're getting these deep, dark, and rather disgusting kind of criminal, crime films, detective stories. And this is similar. A murder detective must follow the footsteps of a brutal killer with the secrets of a classist college. And it's Jean Reno kind of on the hunt, if you will. And I remember being rather fascinated with the movie. It gets a little, how do I say this without spoiling it? It gets a little sci-fi-ishy at some points. There's a lot of science going on in this film. I won't give away anything else. But there's a few extra kind of layers put onto it. It's not as straightforward as something like Seven. They try to put its own kind of science fiction twist on it. But it's good. It's another good film, I think.
It's solid. It's not my favorite. It might be one of my lesser. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's, maybe I just need more time with it, but it's definitely one of my lesser favorites of these collection of films. It is directed by the same director of La Haine.
Yes, it is.
Which is something to note. And if I could say his name, because it's French.
Matthew Kassovitz.
Well, I'd say Matthew. I was looking for his name. I was like, where's his name at? Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh.
But
Matthew Kassovitz. He's a director who kind of made one amazing film and then had made other films after that, but nowhere near to the remembered level as La Haine.
No.
I mean, we did a whole episode on La Haine back in our previous iteration of the podcast. Chasing Labels was a cinema discovery project, but we did a whole episode on that movie, and I'm pretty sure many people have discussed that. I'm pretty sure they teach that movie in every film school in the world at this point.
They should.
If they don't, they should, like Steven said. But this release does have quite a few special features.
It does, but they are all from a previous release. I don't believe there's any new features.
No, I don't think there's any new ones either.
But there is a lot on here. There's audio commentaries, there's documentaries, there's making of. There's tons of extra features that kind of give you a lot of different spectrums of the filmmaking on this film. Isolated music score with a commentary by the composer. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff on here. So this is really a well-rounded, release right here when it comes to just getting to know the movie itself. But I will say that though it gets compared to Seven, I don't know. It does have a different vibe to it. It's set in a whole different, setting. It's like in the mountains, like it's like in a country setting more so than a grimy city setting. So it's got different vibes. So I don't know. I think maybe just the
Yeah, I
serial
understand
killer
what you're saying.
aspect in it being the
I think the whole
90s.
murder mystery thing is why it gets compared to Seven, and it's a gruesome, grisly, like mutilated type of murder. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And Seven is notorious for having unique murders in it. I think
sure.
that's why everybody kind of compares the two. But it's a solid kind of detective neo noir story with some twists in there. But moving on, let's move to the Way of the Gun. And the Way of the Gun is actually um, what's his name's directorial debut. Um,
Christopher McQuarrie.
Christopher McQuarrie. Thank you for
He actually wrote
saving
and
me.
directed this.
Yes, and this is after he had coincidentally already won an Oscar for writing, I think, the screenplay for Usual Suspects, and
Yes.
this was his first time kinda getting into directing, and what we got here is a really solid movie.
Yeah.
Like, this is, yeah, kind of a highlight, I think, for me, I think for a lot of people in this set um, is a movie that has a I mean, all-star cast in comparison to where they are now in Ryan Felipe, Benicio del Toro, Juliette Lewis, Taye Diggs is in the film. And this is a movie about two criminal drifters without sympathy get more than they bargained for after kidnapping and holding for ransom the surrogate mother carrying a baby for a powerful, shady man, basically like a local gangster drug dealer big type of guy who's into organized crime. And
Yes.
these are two dudes who are just don't know. They just get themselves into trouble and don't realize how big trouble they get
Yeah.
themselves into. They're just people like traveling through the country and just stealing people's money, conning people,
Dude,
committing burglaries. Like they're
the
just kind of
opening
two idiots, really.
the opening of this movie is hilarious. And I don't know
Yes.
if you remember the opening, you get a nice cameo by Sarah Silverman,
Yes, you do.
and she throws off one of like most like nasty, stupid, like, put downs on both of the lead actors, Ryan Phillippe and Benicio del Toro. They're just over there sitting on their car and on the cars, and she notices that they're sitting like near their car, and she's like, get off our fucking cars, and then ropes her boyfriend into going over there saying he's going to kick their ass, and she just keeps running her mouth and running her mouth, saying some of the most vile shit. Just like, he'll fuck your
I wonder if
mother.
that was
He'll
improv.
fuck you.
I would just knowing, like, you because she's a stand-up comedian and
Yeah,
actress, I
yeah.
wonder if that was improv.
I
It's
would
an early
assume
role
she.
from Sarah Silverman,
Yeah,
a
it
really early
is.
role, just one scene, really. Um, yeah, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and that's
It's
kinda how the movie
hilarious
starts.
though.
That kind of lays down, the kind of the vileness of the movie, if you will, because it's a dark movie that ends in kind of a Mexican type standoff climax that's really bloody, really action packed, really good.
It's
I dug it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
dug this movie.
Honestly, I mean, I'm not saying it's necessarily part of the movement, but it very much plays in that Tarantino Reservoir Dogs movement of
Pretty
films where you got
like a Guy Ritchie type, that late '90s, early 2000s
criminal films about
action
criminals that are
stuff.
likable, that are quirky, and then a lot of times they end in like gunfire. Like I also think about like True Romance. uh,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I can understand that. Like True Romance, I think of Reservoir Dogs. Um, you know, uh, John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson's character from Pulp Fiction.
yeah,
That's another one. I'm also thinking of From Dusk Till Dawn,
yeah.
George Clooney's character, and coincidentally Quentin Tarantino's character from Dusk Till Dawn. I mean, those type of like seedy, like
I mean,
anti-hero type characters.
Boondock Saints.
Boondock
Like
Saints is another one. I mean, yeah, I think
he
the
was a
director took everything from
he took everything from
Tarantino, but
Tarantino.
yes,
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
there's just a ton of movies like
But
that
there's
have
just a
that
ton of movies like that. Yeah.
same feel, where it's focusing on criminals, but they're like, they're somewhat likable, and then they have to fight other criminals, and then it's like yeah, it's good, but it's a good one. It's I think one of the more unique ones, especially in its storytelling. It's a little bit more
Yeah,
unique.
and we
So
do have special features on this disc, and there's actually 3 audio commentaries, I think.
yeah, there's three. Yeah, you got audio commentary from Christopher McQuarrie and composer Joe Kramer. Then you have a new audio commentary from film writer Travis Woods. You have an isolated music score commentary with Joe Kramer, and then you have interviews with cast and cast and crew, stuff like that, TV spots. So only one new feature, but you still get 3 audio commentaries. So I mean that's pretty good.
Yeah, if you're an audio commentary enthusiast, I think you're pretty set up.
Way of the
Pretty
gun is
set
your
up well.
way. It goes your way.
Yeah, and so moving on from there, we have the last film in the set, right?
No, we got 2
No,
more.
we got 2 more. I lied.
Yeah.
I lied. Actually, this is the only film in the set that I actually have not seen. So, Steven, this is all you.
Yeah,
And
I've
that
seen
is
this.
The Yards, starring Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg, Joaquin Phoenix, Charlize Theron, Faye Dunaway's in this movie a little bit. Ellen Burst, and James Caan. Big cast. This is directed by James Gray. This release right here has actually got the director's cut also in there. So it's a 2-disc, and it's this film's a pretty straightforward kind of film. It's you got Mark Wahlberg, who has just gotten out of prison. I think he was in prison for Grand Theft Auto, so he gets out. He's trying to go straight, and of course, the life tries to bring him back. He's got a friend of his uncle, I believe his uncle's the one that James Caan plays. If I remember, it's
The
been
late,
about
great
a
James
month.
Caan.
It's been about a month since I've watched the movie, but his friend, Joaquin Phoenix, they're slowly pulling him back into the life, and he's trying his best to stay away from it. And so it's kind of one of the movies. It's a lot of atmosphere. It's slow, kind of slow moving, but it's a lot of good. I think a lot of good acting and good writing. James Gray, I think, is a very underrated director. As I said on the podcast before, I think this kind of plays along with his future film that would come some years later called We Own the Night, that has Joaquin Phoenix and Mark Wahlberg again. That one, if they keep doing these collections, if that movie isn't in one of their collections, it would be stupid, because that one's a straight up neo-noir. But The Yards it's really solid. It's another solid one. I think it's another performance by Mark Wahlberg that kind of shows some range there. I think we get lost in a lot of his, I would say, crappier roles, but
Mark Wahlbergisms.
yeah,
Daddy's home. Daddy's home too.
why am I always questioning things? I'm like always doing this. He's always, but every once in a while he puts in effort. And I would say, obviously The Departed is maybe one of his best roles.
Oh yeah,
and,
because he's back home. He's back home in Boston.
Yeah,
he knows how to he knows how to play that character.
I would say another one would be. I would say another one is Four Brothers. Four Brothers is really
underrated
good.
movie.
Yeah,
directed by the late great John Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when he plays the grittier roles, he can kind of pull those off a lot more. Not that he's not a funny guy. If you've seen Ted or Ted 2,
I think
playing
some of
in
them
that Seth
comedies
MacFarlane type comedy, raunchy comedy,
yeah.
I guess. Very interesting. It's kind of interesting how We Own the Night is very much a companion piece to this movie.
It is. I'm telling you, like
if you line them up or the synopsis back to back, there you'll see the similarities.
All you got to do is you got to replace James Caan with Robert Duvall. That's it. I mean, it's all
very similar films.
And and then Charlize Theron's replaced by somebody. There's a lead female, and I can't remember who it is, but
I agree with you. James Gray, I think, is rather underrated actor. Underrated director. Every time you've brought up this movie, I've always brought up James Gray and the fact that I think The Lost City of Z is criminally underrated.
It's great. Yeah.
I also think Ad Astra is good, but that's just
I think it's okay.
And I have to see his newest film, Armageddon Time, which I was meaning to watch before the end of last year, and I just never got around to it. So I've got to watch that to get it all caught up. But but let's get to the special features on this, because there are a few.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it has both director's cut and theatrical presentation. We have audio commentary with James Gray and filmmaker Steven Soderbergh on the director's cut. So that's
cool.
got to be really cool. Then you also got another director's cut commentary just with James Gray. And then you have Creating Authenticity, an interview with James Gray from 2022. You have Motherhood Through the Method with actress Ellen Burst on her life and career and The Yards. I watched that one. Really good, really good. She just seems like a really sweet person.
Ellen Burstyn?
Yeah,
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 she's an amazing actress.
yeah,
Probably one of the greatest actresses of our lifetime, I think.
yeah.
And she's been acting for decades upon decades. Um, yeah, yeah, she shows up in so many things. She's always great.
Oh yeah. We have Designing Queens. We have production designer Kevin Thompson on The Yards 2022. We have film critic Tim Roby on The Yards from 2022. And then the rest here are deleted scenes, round table stuff, archival stuff. So quite a bit of new stuff on this one as well. You got 4 new features. So they do pretty good job on giving you some more context on The Yards. And
Yeah,
so
could you do
yeah,
me? Yeah, could you do me a favor? Could you open that up? Is that a 2-disc edition?
yeah, I said that at the beginning.
Oh, see, I don't pay
You
attention
never
when you
listen to
talk.
me.
I never
You
pay attention
never
when you talk.
You're never listening to me.
Oh, it even has a tray, a lost long tray. You don't see that
Yeah.
very often.
Yeah. And of course, all these have like inside artwork too. I should say that.
There's Mark Wahlberg. There
Yeah,
he is.
there he is again. Marky Mark. But yeah.
Yeah, so that is The
Solid.
Yards. And
then
now we reach the final.
Now the last one.
No, it's the final one, and it is Narc, the Joe Carnahan film from 2002. I think this is Joe Carnahan's first film.
Yes,
Similar
I believe so.
as The Way of the Gun is McQuarrie's first film. Yeah, Joe Carnahan. Yet again, I would say an underrated director. I think.
Maybe.
I like Smoking Aces is lots of fun. His newer stuff, which is way under the radar, is people really need to get on that. They just don't get a lot of play now, unfortunately. That's like Boss Level and Cop Shop. I thought were rather good actually.
Well,
But
I haven't seen some of that stuff, so that's where I have to do my my due diligence.
yeah,
But
so this is.
But I was just gonna say on the surface though,
yes,
he seems like a dude director. Like he seems like somebody like what's the guy that did he seems like a Mick G.
Oh goodness, that is a reference and a half.
Yeah,
The
the guy that did Charlie's Angels, did the Chuck Show. He seems like a Mick G, where he like loves dude action. Or like who's the guy that does who's the director that does End of Watch?
Oh my goodness, you're talking
Suicide
about
Squad.
You're talking about
Fury.
who directed Suicide Squad, who directed
Fury.
Yeah, and he also wrote the screenplay for Training Day, David Ayer.
He's like David Ayer. They're
Yes,
all
yeah.
like dude action director guys.
Their films do have a lot of masculinity in them.
Yeah.
They're very aggressively masculine, and
I will say
I wouldn't say you're wrong.
I would say Joe Carnahan, at least based off of Narc, might have a little bit more of a darker. He might have a little bit more style, a little bit more of a tour style to him. Like he has a little bit more vision when it comes as a director, maybe. But I have to watch the rest of his filmography. But I like Narc a lot. It's Jason Patrick, Ray Liotta. Jason Patrick plays this narcotics officer who going under, you see this in a lot of these films. You even see this in previous film from the first neo-noir set, Rush,
Right.
where he plays a cop that gets
undercover
hooked on
cop.
drugs.
Yeah. An undercover narcotics cop. And this, I was wrong. This is not Joe Carnahan's first film. His first film was Blood, Guts, Bullets, and Octane.
Sure.
And that kind of I would say that describes his style very, very specifically and rather accurately, better than we just did a minute ago.
Yeah.
And this is another movie dealing with undercover cops, hence the name Narc. I've had this movie on DVD for many, many years, and it was nice to finally get a Blu-ray of it. And Ray Liotta's in the film, the late great Ray Liotta, Jason Patrick, who was in a lot of kind of these type of gritty films in the 90s. It's been a few years since I've seen Narc. Steven, have you seen it recently?
I rewatched it. Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
It's better than I remember. I think when I watched it when it came out, I was not really impressed with it at the time. But going back and watching it and watching some of the, I listened to the commentary and everything like that. Like it really is. It's pretty underrated. I think it's Jason Patrick plays, like I said, undercover narcotics officer. He gets at the beginning of the film, he gets kind of a really tragic thing happens while he's on duty, and kind of sends his life and career and kind of into a downward spiral, and then he gets brought back to kind of investigate another officer, and that's Ray Liotta's character. Like they need to kind of like keep an eye and see what's they think something funny's going on. And I don't want to give away the movie, but it's pretty. It's a movie that feels really real. You know, it's got that real, almost like documentary style to it, but it's still stylish. It's a still stylish movie, but it feels real. It feels like you're on the streets. And you know, the kind of acting that both these guys have. I know Jason Patrick is known for being a kind of a method actor. And Ray Liotta, he's, you know, probably best since Goodfellas in this movie, which is about a decade earlier than this. Yeah, it's a solid film. It's got a great ending to it. Yeah. If I'm being honest, I might actually like Volume 2 of this collection more than I liked Volume 1.
Okay.
So I think it's a worthwhile pickup. If you were a fan of the first volume of neo-noir films, I think the second one will make you happy.
Yeah, what are we looking at in terms of special features?
Features
there's a couple of new ones actually in here.
Yeah, like we have audio commentary with Joe Carnahan and John Gilroy, editor John Gilroy, who is, I believe, the brother of Dan Gilroy.
I would have to look at that.
I think they are. I think I could be wrong. But and then you have Chasing Ghosts, interview with Jason Patrick. You have Over the Top, which is a great film. No, the best arm wrestling film of all time. Over the Top.
There aren't many of them. There aren't many of them.
No, there's not. Over the Top, interview with director Joe Carnahan from 2022. A conversation with composer Cliff Martinez from 2022. Interview with Ray Liotta, 2002. And then the making of featurettes are all from probably the DVD. So yeah, once again, you know, a few new things.
I don't mean to cut you off, but Dan Gilroy is his brother.
Yeah, there you go.
And Tony Gilroy is his brother as well.
Jesus, so many Gilroys.
Yeah, there's 3 of them actually.
Yeah,
3 or 4
and we were just talking with another interview with Rich Johnson about one of his favorite films was Nightcrawler.
Yeah, coincidentally, look at that. I was making all those connections.
I know.
But yeah, I do love this package, this extras package. Anytime you can get new extras with people who are part of the movie is really nice.
It's optimal. Yeah.
The one thing we've learned, I would say, over the last several years is, unfortunately, a lot of people are passing away. So you're not going to get a lot of firsthand accounts or a lot of insights from these people about these movies. And these movies that we're talking about, you know, Narc is 20 years old, over 20 years old at this point. So, and some of these movies are 30 years old or over 30 years old. So it's nice to get some insight into these films from the people while we can.
Honestly, what I like, if I'm being honest, is I like a good mix. Like I like, you know, I like features with people that are involved with the movie. You know, I think doing interviews, I think interviews are good with people that are from the movies, but I think sometimes getting a commentary from somebody that's outside of the movie is sometimes better,
right?
Because I feel like
I can understand that.
Yeah, I feel like, you know, like getting somebody's outside perspective on what they thought, because that's our perspective. You know, that's us as film lovers. That's somebody that loves the movie giving their interpretation of the film, and that's the way what we're going to do. And I think
you do get some objectivity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You do get some insights that maybe you can't see if you're that close to the production. Yeah. You know, you that's why you get a lot of, you know, visual essays and a lot of featurettes when they interview experts who are like kind of extrapolating the themes and all this kind of stuff and kind of saying what they say about it.
And that's the stuff I like. And a lot of times when you get like, and I'm not saying this is bad, I think this can be fun too with commentaries, but sometimes when you get like, say you get the director, you get an actor, a lot of times they'll be having fun talking about random things and not necessarily dissecting the scenes or anything like that. And I like to hear not that you need to just be talking about every little thing that happens in the movie, but like I like hearing people like try to break down some of the thematic things going on. And like sometimes that doesn't happen with director and actor commentaries because it's like they're only going to tell you like things from their perspective about their experience on making the movie, and not like the deeper meanings. Like
Gotcha.
they're not busy with that. They're just thinking about like very surfacey things that they in their memories can remember. So I know I like a good mix. I like a good mix of historians, or people that are film experts of some type, mixed with people that are maybe giving you interviews, that are from the movie. So, but yeah, overall, I think Neo Noir, After Dark Neo Noir Volume Collection 2, really worth picking up. They had 2 of these things come out in 1 year.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of a monumental feat to have 2 of those come out in 1 year. But yeah, those are some of their probably 2 best releases, I think. Just they definitely wowed a lot of us in the community, and a lot of us, collectors in general and film fans and whatnot. So,
it was one of them. It was one of them things that we've always kind of talked about wanting, because we're both noir fans, and we've gotten tons of noir sets from all different companies, but nobody had really like zeroed in on neo noir, and they finally did it. They finally were like, let's tap into that 90s, early 2000s.
Give us some of that neo noir from the 90s and 2000s goodness. But before we go, could you just hold it up one more time and just show it off like one of those models on like The Price is Right? That's not really the music that they use, but okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, thick box, cigarette box type stuff. Love it. I like all the color scheme and all that kind of stuff. Nice. Just so people get a good look at what they're buying, if they do buy it. If you can track it down.
If you can afford it, I would say
that's also true too. You do get what you pay for, and unfortunately, with a box set like that with that many movies, it's not going to be cheap.
I think I saw that it was going for about $150 at most U.S. retailers. So it's if you can get the money for it, I'd say it's worth your time. It's worth your money. So, but yeah, that's going to be it for this Blu-ray review. We hope you got something out of it. And so yeah, we'll anytime we get a chance, we'll try to do more of these. And so thanks everybody. And of course, go over to Chasing Labels here on the YouTube channel. Subscribe. Go to our follow us on anywhere you listen to podcasts, either Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. But that's it for this review, and we will see you on the next one.
Goodbye.
See ya.